how tourism and archaeology are connected.
Human being and their culture, these all are the incorporated within the archaeology.
I wanted to know that what role do these archaeological sites play in attracting tourists?
First of all, you should have to represent to the world, to the people. Department of Archaeology also, they don't have any mechanism, any law to declare these archaeological sites as a heritage. Tourism case, archaeological evidence is always exciting.
Our heritage isn't just about preserving the past. It can open doors to new experience, attract travelers, and even shape the economics. That's where the archaeological tourism comes in, connecting the history with modern opportunity both in Bangladesh and across the globe. Assalamu alaikum everyone. I welcome you all again to our podcast, The Conversation With. And this is me, your host, Tasnuva Tabassum Hafsa. To dive deep into this topic, we have a very special guest with us today, and he had been here before. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Masood Imran Mannu. He is a professor at the Department of Archaeology, Jahangirnagar University. His expertise spans cultural heritage, identity politics, and even virtual reconstruction of monuments. So, please welcome Professor Masood Imran Mannu. Assalamu alaikum, sir. Thank you so much for coming again and joining us again. And I'm really excited for today's episode. It's really nice having you again on our podcast.
Thank you very much. Ask me to join here. Thank you so much.
As we are beginning our podcast, my first question would be, as a lot of us do not know how tourism and archaeology are connected. So if you could say it from your perspective, how tourism and archaeology are interconnected, and in Bangladesh, how has archaeology shaped the identity of tourism so far?
Okay, if I understand your question, you have three different parts in your question. Archaeology is a very, very exciting part for tourists. So before that, I would like to tell you that this year in 2025 is a sustainable tourism day. They are working on sustainability and how tourism help the SDG there. So I will engage those things because it's also related with the archaeology. And archaeology normally to excavate the past, and it's made a journey towards the past, and the landscape and human being and their culture, these all are the incorporated within the archaeology. So archaeological heritage, in two types things I would like to mention. One thing that is a tangible archaeological evidences, and another thing is that intangible cultural heritage things. So tangible things, especially monuments, sites, those are the tangible cultural heritage. And you know that if you want to promote all those things, first of all, you should have to represent to the world, to the people, that this is the archaeology which belongs to Bangladesh and certain landscape. So in that case, in fact, one process is to declare couple of archaeological site as a world cultural heritage. In Bangladesh, we have two UNESCO listed world cultural heritage. One is, it's called the ruins of Paharpur. It's a Buddhist monastery. Another one is that the mosque city of Bagherhat. And these two are in fact got selection in 1986. After that, we didn't get any other archaeological site as a world cultural heritage. So when your archaeological site listed in UNESCO as a world cultural heritage, it means that it is something different, something special, and which is claimed as a world patrimony. So when one thing is declared as a world cultural heritage, so tourists or people certainly understand that it has a world universal values. So they always love to explore those things. But in Bangladesh case, when we talk about, even in our textbook, our websites, everywhere, we fail to mention that what's the OUV of all of those sites. So in marketing strategy, to attract the people, you are always portrayed it as in website that it is a uh, world heritage. So why it's world heritage versus OUV? You are not explaining, mentioning anything there. So that's why people fail to understand that things. One is Buddhist monastery, but in Bangladesh case, you know that to to explain it properly is very difficult. That what type of Buddhism practice there, you never ever mention there. And another thing is that in Bangladesh these days those Buddhist people are not existed. Buddhist people are in living in Bangladesh who belongs to Buddhist religion things, but who were built those things, those kings, especially Dharmapal, those people also belongs to Buddhism. Those Buddhists that present the Buddhists are totally different philosophically. So those are we call the Vajrayana Buddhism. So you fail to totally explain that who were the Vajrayana Buddhists, why it's important, and which will make you curious. If you fail to make curiosity, why people come to you? This is the first thing which is totally failed. In near to you, in your Bangladesh, near to you, you love to visit that Indian Taj Mahal. So why you are going there? Because it's one of the seven wonder. That's why you love to visit that things. So tourism case, archaeological evidence is always exciting, and it doesn't mean that you should have a seven wonder or something like that. You have so many monuments, but you fail to represent it properly. So that's the very problematic things. So that's why in archaeological sites we are failing to attract the overseas tourist here, and also the inland tourist also fail to attract there.
As you have mentioned so many heritage sites of Bangladesh, so I wanted to know that what role do these archaeological sites play in attracting tourists?
It's a very big question. So many things are there. One thing that is not always necessary to declare a one archaeological site as a world cultural heritage, but in every country they have their own mechanism to declare their archaeological monument sites or events as a heritage. But you know that in Bangladesh there are no organized way to declare these things as a heritage. So people always find it very problematic or confusing. Why confusing? You know that till date, uh, Bangladesh government, Department of Tourism or Tourism Board, Department of Archaeology also, they don't have any mechanism, any law to declare these archaeological sites as a heritage. Our law, that Antiquity Act, very much inadequate. Second thing is that we always treated our archaeological monuments is totally treated as a historical event and which is a dead event. Dead event means that what? That local people always excluded there, and local peoples who are the heritage resident who are living on the site, they are always find it very excluding. Even who are visiting there, even Bangladeshi young people who are in college or school, who sometimes visited there in the name of picnic or something like that. Most of the case, they found themselves very excluded because their selves is totally absent there. Nowadays, those things, those terminology, totally unknown to them and is very mysterious to them. I can explain or share my one experience that in Mostangar, I found couple of boys and girls roaming there. They went there to visit that things, and someone I asked that one girl that what you watched there, what you visited there, what you found there. She told me that nothing is there which belongs to me. I just shocked that why it's not belongs to you. It's it's very problematic things because what type of family arena or friends arena or academic position they are growing up is totally mismatch with those museum representation. So most of the case they didn't find those things their own selves, own. So your site and other things should be interactive. So how you will do those heritage site as an interactive site. So that's the very problematic thing. I have one book there. It's my extensive research work, 5 years or 10 years research work. There I showed that how the local community totally excluded there. You know, in from 2011, UNESCO adopted another C. We always called it UNESCO maintained 4C, but here is 5C from 2011. That 5 number C called the community, but our management system, our Department of Archaeology always exclude the community. So community understanding, well, people's, local people's understanding should be accommodated there. And in museum and everywhere, you should include them to tell all the histories. And you can ask me that, okay, the local people, how they became a historian or something. In history, oral tradition these days is very important. And in UNESCO, the 6 number criteria, there they mention that not only the structure related all the myths and oral tradition should be included there. If you visited Mostangar, visibly you won't find any exciting structure or something like that, like Paharpur Mahavihara, which is called Somapura Mahavihara. But in why Mahasthan is important? How do you understand that things? And in that case, you should have to consider the oral tradition also, and which is totally excluded. Like that, that there is a one mound. It's called the bridal suit of Behula Lakhindar. It's a very famous story all over the world, all over the country, and it's related with the very local deity which is called Monusha, but locally known as Poddo, who can change their faces, their body structure, anything else. This interesting story you totally excluded. So if you include that story there, then it will people find it very inclusive. Not only the visitors, but the local residents also find him or herself exclusive. This is the inclusive. This is the another thing. And in my books, my 5th chapter, I elaborated massively, majorly. Always we think that the institutional history teller, academician are very right to explain the history, but it's not always the right things, because in institutional history we made so many problematic things, because it's a very subjective, it's a very biased. So if you can find this way, then you can include those people. So it should be interactive, and also you should have to incorporate the technology like VR, virtual reality, or 3D modeling, those things, and in museum and other way, you should have to install those type of gallery where they can visit this type of things, that what the past was. Always no need to read something, no need to hear something. You can experience something through those technological environment or endeavor. Then I think it will be very interesting, because you know that in my book you can see that here I made some 3D models and other things. So why we are doing all those things, we should have to understand. So in archaeological things, here you can see one boy is pouring milk on a slab. So this boy, why are they doing this? Here Hindu, Muslims, all people are. It means that academically maybe though that Khodar, which is locally known as Khodar Pathor Bhita, people are believe that the one Sufi came to this place by floating these things here. But we know logically it's not possible, and it's a dull lintel. But sometimes archaeological evidences change their meaning. It explained indifferently. So there's the another history. Last 1,000 years, maybe people are finding in different way. That's also the new history. So you should have to consider this new history, and you should have to represent to the visitors in that manner. So how you represent your archaeological sites or archaeological heritage there, that's the main key point. How do you attract the tourist?
As you know, heritage tourism often faces the risk of commercialization, and we have argument on that. So how do we avoid turning sacred or ancient sites into just tourist spots?
So many, like pyramids. It's a must visited site in all over the world. In India, there is a Taj Mahal, Ellora Ajanta, and Konark temples, or Khajuraho temples. There are much people are visited all those sites. Even near us, that the Indonesia, Borobudur, it's one of the Bihara, Mahabihara. Sometimes it's called the largest Bihara in the world. So that one, the largest one. But in South Asia, you know that our tourism income, in terms of income, is almost minus in Bangladesh case. But in Nepal, India, Sri Lanka is a very much higher, and their major income sources there, because they made their country very secure. But in Bangladesh case, we have a very negative narratives all over the world that is a very insecure country. So tourists don't like to go that place where they became insecure. So we should have to avoid these things first in Bangladesh case.
So every time I talk about my country, Bangladesh, a thing that actually comes with it is the climate change. So I wanted to know that how is climate change or the urban development affecting the archaeological tourism worldwide?
And archaeological sites in Bangladesh is weathered always. Our climate is always a very negative things which is exposed, because in beneath the earth is always preserved properly. But when you expose something, it started to decay there because of the humidity and other things. And the weathering process started there. So that is another very big problem to preserve those things. And another way that the how you will preserve these things and how you will protect those things from vandalism. Bangladesh is very much suffering not only for the uh, environment but also the vandalism. And another thing is that the excavation procedure, we don't have any law and regulations. Only one Antiquity Act, the only law. But in excavation procedure worldwide, there are so many regulations. But in Bangladesh case, we don't have that things. And another very big problem that only the regulatory department, the Department of Archaeology, is the only one department who regulated the total things, but who has not that much capacity to excavate, operate all the things. In that case, the university and others, they don't have that much right. In other country, always archaeologists achieve some license to excavate, but in Bangladesh case, that provision is totally absent. If you wanna conduct research properly, it's a very difficult task. Not only this time, from the beginning, because Bangladesh Antiquity Act it was first done by British government in 1901, and that 1901 law and regulation is still Bangladesh adopted. Bangladesh also trying to achieve the SDG, SDG goal, and from the archaeological tourism, you can achieve three goals. And this year, in Tourism Day, they fixed three goals. Goals number 8, 9, and 17. These three goals. And first one is decent work and economic growth. Goal 9 is industry, innovation, and infrastructure. And goal 7, partnership for the to achieve the goals, and in that case how you develop your partnership things. So these all are the scenario so how it work and how is interconnected the archaeological heritage and tourism.
So, as we know, so that tourism often faces the risk of commercialization, and there's always an argument about it. So, how do we avoid turning the sacred or ancient sites into just tourist spots?
Okay, commercialization, yes. So many disasters been happen all over the world. Maybe you can recall the movie Avatar, which is been shooted in China. You will find that type of mountains are there. Same mountains are there, and after that movie, the visitors, the much visitors, and the pressure of visitors is became huge, and they always go to the top of those mountain, and the mountain's top is just beyond that cloud level. So people always want to go there. So what Chinese government did, they installed their lift there. So when they install lift and the glass floor cafe there, so if you sit there, you'll find yourself that you are in a blank places. So everything is visible there. So it's excited for tourists, but the problem is that its own natural character, which has been totally changed. You cannot change your originality. So to maintain the originality, you should have to ask them. Always it's not necessary to invite the huge number of tourists. Tourists should be regulated and can be, and you can regulate your tourists like Bhutan. Bhutan in every year, every space you own. It's a regulated system, and they made a regulation how the visitors go and how many visitors will move one area to another area. So in natural heritage case, these things are strictly followed by Bhutan, which is not followed in our country. If you visit Rangamati or Bandarban, you will find so many plastics things here and there because of huge number of visitors and the changing the landscape there and other things. So in archaeological sites, you also maintain all those things. Till date, Bangladesh government failed to make a proper mapping of most Pundranagar. So Pundranagar is a huge area. It's started from Shirajganj and it's ended up to Shiliguri and Dinajpur, Rangpur. These all are the part of Pundranagar. But you are only propagate that Bogura, that place. And that place you have always failed to explain the what type of archaeological things it is, which is surrounded by wall. And if you visit there, you will find just continuous wall. What does it mean? And what the other area? And it was a provincial capital in 2500 years before. It was a provincial capital. It was the first urban space and place. But you fail to propagate, you fail to tell all those things that Mostangarh was a Pundranagar and it was the first urban place. It was the first settlement area which is called Janapada and it was the first Pundra Janapada. So you fail to propagate these things. So why people are visiting those sites? Because your study, your research is totally you are avoiding all those things. So how you will attract that tourist? If you visit Mohansangarh, Paharpur, Kantojio temple, you will find that in entry point, every gateway looks the same. But history are not the same. Why they made this sorts of gateway in the same loop? One visitor go there, what they will find them. This sorts of development is very, very problematic, which is done by the so-called archaeologist or architect, something like that. And that project, there was one consultant who joined here from outside the country, South Asian, a very famous architect, but they did these sorts of peculiar things. You know that if you visited Paharpur, you will find there is a wooden staircase there. They installed iron and wooden staircase there to enter the main shrine. So why do you install these sorts of things, which is totally distorted that architecture and other things? And those elements also under threat those in conservation case the under threat those ancient bricks and others. So why you were installing all those things? Who told you? But they spend all this money there. You know that in Paharpur, if you visit there, if you enter there, you will find a garden there, and in garden there is just so many figure they develop like elephant, giraffe, and those sorts of things. But I don't know why they develop those things. But kids are like those things; they are roaming around. But it has no relation with the monastery, Paharpur monastery. So why you installing all those things there? I don't know, but these things are been happening there, which is totally ahistorical. So it's a problematic, and all over the world, these sorts of things are going by.
So, as we have come to the end of our podcast and today's episode, so there is a question I always love asking all of my guests. So, if you could just say it, if you could reimagine the future of tourism in Bangladesh through archaeology, what would that be? And if there is any suggestion for the young people?
In Bangladesh case, if you attract more tourists, you should have to incorporate tangible and intangible both historicity. not only the tangible, not only the structure, and you should have to portray in detail, and you made some strategy how you will explain and inform to the tourist. So that's the very big thing. Another thing is that you should have to categorize your tourist. There are so many tourists. One is backpacker tourist. Their character is one source of character. You should have to attract that the homestay tourist. So there are so many different tourists. So in heritage site, if you ask them to join, you can develop couple of homestay things where they can live like the 1,000 years before how people were living. That sort of environment, if you can regenerate, maybe people will find it more interestingly. So only structure is not good enough. And another thing is that in tourist sites you should have to develop proper basic needs things like washrooms, like foods and other things, which is totally absent in Bangladesh case.
Here comes the end of another exciting episode. Everybody watching this, don't stop missing us because we will be back with another brand new episode very soon. Till then, take care. Allah Hafiz.